In today's world, people feel lost in a sea of ideas. Which ones should we accept? Stay tuned because you're listening to Veracity Hill, striving for truth on faith, politics, and society. Here is your host, Kurt Jarris.
Well, a good day to you, and thanks for joining us here on another episode of Veracity Hill, where we are striving for truth on faith, politics, and society. We've got a unique episode for you today, something a little bit different. We have a musical artist in studio, and you might be wondering how it is that this relates to, thinking about these intellectual and analytical things. Well, let me tell you, when we are doing what's called cultural apologetics, when we are defending the faith, really living out the faith, being Christ in the world, we are cultural apologists. So in that sense, in that broad scope, that tent, if you will, issues of culture, talking about movies, talking about books, music, those things still fall within God's realm. And so that's why today we are blessed to have a musical artist in studio here in West Chicago. Before we get to him, though, we have a few announcements. First, if you live in the New England area, I want to tell you about this great opportunity for you to come on April 14 in West Hartford, Connecticut. We are doing apologetics in evangelism. And I want to encourage you to come for this one-day seminar to learn about how you can defend your faith and how we can implement and utilize apologetics through sharing the gospel. So we've got a number of great talks there. We've got Ted Wright coming in. David Montoya will be there. Myself, and then Richard Porter, our boots on the ground there in Connecticut, will be speaking. And I hope that you will consider joining us April 14. If you'd like to learn more about that seminar, you can go to thedefendersconference.com to learn more and register. Also, are you buying a house? Did you know that you can defend the faith? A Chicagoland-based realtor has offered to donate 100% of his commission to Defenders Media. He's licensed in the states of Illinois and Missouri, and he can also handle transactions in the other 48 states through referral partners. So if you are buying or selling a house, please go to our website, go to defendersmedia.com, and then click just below the donate button there. There's, if you hover over donate, the first drop down there. We would love to get your support, oddly enough, through your buying or selling of your house. What we're talking there is what could amount to $10,000 or more, depending upon what sort of house you're selling or buying, and really just an easy opportunity for a ministry, a small ministry like ours, to benefit greatly. So please consider that opportunity. If you'd like to join the conversation, there are a few ways you can do that. We're watching for comments here on the live stream. You can also text in. Veracity Hill has a free texting program. Just text the word Veracity to 555-888. And if you forget that, you can see the little text on the screen behind me as a reminder there. You can see we flipped the image around, and look at all that red. What is that red on that TV screen? Well, we have finally... We're probably a year and a half late, Chris, even though we've been doing this for like a year and a half. We have finally started a YouTube channel. And our goal for 2018 is to do a multi-stream, to stream the video live on Facebook and YouTube at the same time, and maybe even a couple other platforms. But in the meantime, before we get around to doing that, in the meantime, we're slowly uploading our old episodes. And so if you want to hop on the YouTube subscribe train, just go to YouTube, search Veracity Hill. We're first to pop up because our name is so unique. It's unlike anything else out there. So yeah, just do a search for Veracity Hill and click that subscribe button in the search results. I tested it myself. Very easy to do. So yes, again, if you want to help us to reach many people, please consider supporting our program, because the program that we're going to be using to do this multi-stream, multi-live stream, it costs money. There's a monthly fee associated with it. So we'd love to get your support, whether it's $5 or $10 a month, maybe $20 a month. Go to our website, veracityhill.com/patron, to learn more. Okay, so today we are looking at the tent of cultural apologetics, and we are blessed to have in studio a recording artist, Royce Lovett. Royce, thank you so much for being on the program today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and so tell me, you're here just for a long weekend here in Chicago. You played a sold-out show last night in downtown, Is that right?
Yes, at Uncommon Ground. It was great. My first time here in Chicago.
Okay.
Sad to say that, but I want to get back here more. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and so the weather is a bit colder than where you're from.
Yes, it is not this cold in Florida. Well, to be honest with you, it does get like in the 30s, but this wind is something different.
Yeah. It can be cold here in Chile, and it feels like it gets through your skin. You know? Yeah, it's rough. But you're from Tallahassee, Florida, and so the weather there is probably a lot warmer.
I could probably look it up and let you know what it is. But it definitely didn't make me put on a thermal, 2 sweaters, and my jacket.
Yeah, because you don't have any heavy coats or anything like that.
Yeah, we don't have those heavy coats in Florida, no.
Nice. Well, again, thank you for being on our program today. Thanks. I've got a few questions for you. First, if you could, tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, and your upbringing, and what got you interested in creating music.
Yeah, well, a little bit about myself. I am a father of 2. My oldest is 6 and my youngest is 1. Been married for almost 9 years, and it'll be 9 in July. And I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida, most of my life. That's kind of a very heavy college, political town.
Yeah, it's the capital of Florida, for those that don't know. There's Florida State University and FAMU.
FSU and FAMU.
Yeah.
Great schools. And I grew up in 2 different parts of town, kind of like in the very close to Georgia country, living in the sticks side of town. And then when I moved out, I moved super into the city. So I've seen in my life, and I think it's developed me as a writer and as a father and a husband and just as a person, seeing those 2 different sides of living. Let's see, something else about me that kind of got me into music, I guess it would be just, my mom, really, because she was a worship leader at church. So I was at church 3 times a week and twice on Sundays. No, so that's 4 times a week then. And I just always loved music. I grew up in a household. My mom listened to a lot of Vineyard, Hillsong. My dad listened to a lot of gospel, Candy State, and then there was always that like music, that soul music in the house that everybody could listen to. That was like Marvin Gaye and lots of Michael Jackson.
So music was just very much a part of your upbringing.
Yes. And then hip hop was my brother. I got introduced like that, and then like love songs was my sister, and in all of that, I was really into music. But the thing I really wanted to be at the time was a sports player. Like I just love sports.
I mean, I grew up watching Michael Jordan, so I mean,
everybody I feel like every person, guy or girl, at some point in their childhood was like, I'm going to be the next Michael Jordan.
I mean, there was the whole catchphrase, I want to be like Mike.
Exactly. So, but no, actually what really got me into music was I had an encounter with Christ 2003 in February in Tampa. And it was that encounter, that road to Damascus like encounter where it was like, this is real and it's for me. And I just kind of felt like, okay, if there's this God thing, then there must be purpose that goes along with this. And so I just was praying about it, and I felt like the answers I got from the prayer was to do what you know. And the thing I knew the most at the time, as I started thinking about it, I was like, it was music. Like, I love playing instruments, and we used to freestyle and rap all the time. I was dancing, and it just brought me so much joy, and I love what music does for people and what it did for me. And so that's how I kind of just got on that, plan A, no plan B, just music and living that way.
Nice. So as a musical artist, you are in the industry of creating art. Mm-hmm. And for someone like myself who's a theologian and apologist, I tend to think more like arguments, type of thing. And but sometimes it's good to think about, well, what is art? Mm-hmm. And so tell me, what do you understand art is?
Oh, I think art is an expression of oneself, an expression of an emotion, no matter what that emotion is, whether, one person says it's a good emotion, one person says it's a bad emotion. It's an expression of that. I think it's, in those expressions, I think there is a release of an outlet, a way to decompress, a way to maybe even find revelation or understanding through art, a deeper meaning. One of the reasons why I think next week is Passover, and most of the prayers that we'll be singing at the house, most of the prayers we'll be praying at the house are sung. And I think because of that, I think there is this very emotional and outlet of understanding that you kind of get. Like when you're just talking and you say, yeah, Dayenu. But then when you sing Dayenu and then you realize Dayenu means it would have been enough. And so there's this prayer we sing, if he just delivered us from Egypt, Dayenu. But then when you sing it, if he would have just delivered us from Egypt, it would have been enough. Then it just hits a little harder. So I think whether you paint that or you draw that or you put that in words or a poem or in a book or whatever artistic, I think it penetrates a little bit more. For me as an artist, it's easier for me to say things to anyone, to the culture, to people, to my wife, to my children, to me. It's easier to say certain things, explaining it through music, through song, so.
Yeah, it's there's something to the human experience that requires art and living out art, even. That it's it's used for emphasis. It's used to communicate truths to people, and it's a very important thing for Christians to be a part of. As I had mentioned at the start of the program, that apologetics can't ignore the culture. So how do we reach people? There's I think I'm going to start coining a phrase. For some people, we shouldn't preach at them, but we need to reach at them, right?
Yes.
We need to reach them, and so a way to do that is through art and through beauty and communicating the truth through that. And so in that sense, you're kind of like a cultural apologist. So as long as, you're not going to be singing deductive arguments.
Right.
The philosophers would be like, huh? Or they might actually like it. I don't know.
Depending. Everybody has their own boat to float in,
Yeah, that's right. They're different style and method. And so you've got this gift that God has given you, and that's the method you're using. That's great. So for a while you were doing independent albums, recordings, and you were, I'm sure, working your tail off. I know how that can be. And then eventually you decided to sign with a record label. So tell me about, for you it took a while to decide to sign with a record label. I mean, someone like myself, I would probably just jump at the opportunity, but tell me about that time in your life.
Well, ever since 2009, when I got married, I got really serious about me and my wife together. She's my rock, she business partner. She was like, yo, let's get serious about this music thing, and let's put together the best record we can with the budget we have. And we did. And during that time, I just was playing a lot, and I never really thought to sign to a record label. My whole thought about labels and things is, I've just kind of noticed that, I've noticed this to be true, but my thought is that as you kind of go up this mountain, it gets smaller up there. So if you do something wrong, more people have the chance to know that you did something wrong. So I was like, I don't want to try to push for a label, because if I do it the wrong way, I don't want all the labels to know I did it the wrong way. And so for about 10 years, I was indie, putting out music, traveling, touring. And then I got contacted by Motown, exactly Motown Gospel, that contacted me, and it took me like we talked, and it took me like 6 months to kind of flesh out the idea and just pray about it, because you hear so many horror stories coming from signing deals, TLC, like NSYNC, and like all these different like stories of people giving their all. Because I feel like sometimes coming into this, you're an artist, you're not thinking about this business side of everything.
And you feel like you might be restricted, and
and because of that, either you'll be very fruitful or you'll be very careless. Like Tupac is probably everyone's top 10 rapper, you know, but no one really knows that he was a horrible business person. Horrible. I think if he was still alive now, that he would still be trying to get from under these contracts that he was in. And so that said, I was just praying. I just really want to know this is what God wants us to do, because I've lived my life like that since getting married. I've always wanted to be that person that we read about in the scriptures, like Paul, that he prays, asks God what to do, he goes to sleep, God tells him, and he gets up the next day and he does what God said. You know, I really don't want to be that person that's like, oh God, what do I do? And then I wait a year, 6 months, like trying to figure out, did I hear God? Did I not hear God? Like,
did you miss the boat?
Yeah. And so I was just like, I've lived my life this way. I got married that way. God is taking us, me and my wife, to, you know, across the world in these different places through doing this independently and just using his voice to kind of guide me. Not kind of guide me, to guide me. And so I was like, I don't know if this is the case, you know. Not every door that opens is the door, you know. And so finally, after a few things happened, I kept getting this word from different people, and it was put the whole armor on. And after, you know, to make a long story short, I thought it was pretty clear. And so I called and we signed. And I will say the first year it was so stressful because I was like, okay, God, you have me here. You told me to be here. I'm trying to figure this thing out. You know, coming into it as an independent artist, used to doing things for yourself, by yourself, having all these ideas. You have all these expectations of what should happen. But what I've just learned is that in any area of your life, I feel like if your purpose is to be in that track or that field or that lane, then God will put champions in the room to defend the purpose he's given you. And after I figured that out, I mean, I will say, like, I fell into, like, really stressed out time. I was losing weight. I was, like, it was really stressed out the first, like, year and a half. But then when I realized that, and God was like, you just need to chill, like, I realized why I was stressed out. I realized why things weren't happening. And then it caused me to pray for people differently, you know? I was mad at someone for not doing something, but then I realized they didn't do it because they were really going through something in their life, you know what I mean? And so, anyway, I don't want to jump off topic too much, but yeah, so it's been about 4 years,
okay.
2 EPs and 1 new album, Loving of the Dreams, out with these guys, and I'm pretty excited about just what's going on, and yeah. Nice.
So, one of the things that I appreciate about your music is that it doesn't preach at people. You know, it's not that stereotypical Christian music. And so, you know, some of your songs describe the struggles that people face, especially if they are growing up in, like, say, less than ideal situations. So I think here you've got a song called Sunday Morning. Is this something that's a personal experience to you, or, you know, someone that's close to you, or just your observations in general?
Yeah, Sunday Morning is the only song I've ever written where, and I'm not a person to say stuff to get emotions, like, going, so I'm not that person. But it's the only song I've ever written where I completely, like, bawled the whole time. And because I was just thinking about friends in school, my family members, and I was like, man, like I thought, we all had these dreams where we'll be living right next to each other and doing the same thing in life, or at least experiencing life together. And to know that there's some that I won't ever see, and there's some that that I haven't seen in such a long time because of death or incarceration. It's a hard place, and on top of that, just knowing, we don't have to get on those topics, but just knowing like certain justice system things that just aren't correct and aren't right. Knowing that, and also knowing what culture kind of does to us. And this was all happening in my head while I was writing. Knowing what culture kind of does to us, because you lose someone by death or by incarceration. For some reason, you think the family, the children, the wife, the mother, the father, whoever, you feel like they need time and they need space. But that's not even the way your body works. Like when you get cut, like your blood cells and your immunity system don't say, oh, that cut needs time and space, let's give it some. They all like rush to like help and heal. Yeah. And so I was thinking about that, and I was like, man, like I've really not been there for my niece the way I should be. You know what I mean? Or I really haven't been there for my younger cousins, their children, their wife. Like you don't really know what they're going through until you start talking to them. During that same time, I started understanding that I was one of those Christians that was a it doesn't matter Christian. So it was like, you get a hard question and you're like, that doesn't matter. Just love God. And I used to be that way until I started, writing letters and communicating and trying to get build a relationship with those who I could build a relationship with. I started realizing that, man, like they have really hard questions that I haven't even thought about. Like, why am I in my denomination? Like, why do I believe things I believe? You know what I mean? Like,
this is the show for you, Royce.
yeah. And so I started searching these things out. And one of the things that I found out so interesting about searching it out is instead of things angering me about culture and subcultures and things that are taught as theology, but it's just kind of what someone wrote in their thesis, instead of those things angering me, when I found out truth, it really strengthened me. Because you find a lot of people, and I'm going to speak right now for a lot of Black American males, when they start looking into truth of theology and what is Christian and what is church and what is such and such, we get very hurt, and then sometimes hurt turns into anger, and then anger turns into God isn't real if this is that, Oh yeah. So in all of that, thinking about this, I wrote this song called Sunday Morning, and it definitely came from a place of that was personal, that I go through, and so I hope I answered that question pretty good for you.
No, yeah, and I'm wondering, you've got your guitar here. Are you able to play us Sunday Morning?
Yeah, let's do it.
And then just looking at the time, so you'll play that, and then we'll go to a break after the song. So.
All right, cool. All right. What's this? For some reason, because of our conversation, I have misplaced these chords. I got emotional a little bit during like explaining it a little bit.
Take your time.
I got family that's gone away. Some forever and some just have gone astray. Times are hard and we all fall today. But I hope you to know you the reason why I walk this way. Now don't take offense when you hear this. You know mama said, Royce, listen. Not every lesson you gotta learn from experience. Oh, I wish we can go back. I wish we could start over. Because I'm missing your smile and sad we can't get no closer, no. Oh, the pain that caused my heart to see you behind bars. Oh, the pain that caused my heart, yeah, 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 to see you behind bars. I wish you didn't do it, so we can be here Sunday morning, yeah. I wish you didn't do it, whoa, so you could be here Sunday morning, Sunday morning. I know I ain't seen you in a bit, but I never stop thinking about you or the times we spent, like playing football in the yard as kids. Getting dressed, looking the best, trying to test, going to skate, thinking we was legit, yo. Oh, my brother, my sister, you gotta know my heart too with ya. I can't have your back and that sucks, but that don't mean love gives up. And as for your sons and your daughters, we'll teach them the love of the Father. They'll love grown truth and be strong, 'cause it's who we've been all along. And oh, the pain it caused my heart, yeah, to see you behind bars. Oh, oh, the pain it caused my heart, yeah, 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 to see you behind bars. I wish you didn't do it, oh, so we could be here Sunday morning, yeah, yeah, yeah. I wish you didn't do it, no, no, so you can be here Sunday morning, Sunday morning, oh, Sunday morning, after the rain, oh, Sunday morning, yeah, yeah, when the sun shine on your face, oh, Sunday morning, what a beautiful day, oh, Sunday morning, yeah, 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 yo, one time for the ones that ain't getting out, and 2 times for the ones you ain't seen in a while. 1 like 1 million for the kids that they have, another 1 million for their husbands and their wives. Yo, they in the now, but we gotta do better as people. Don't be your brother, people, be his teacher. But all the hate and pain, darling girl, love is the teacher. I'm trying to reach you, 'cause I wanna see you Sunday morning. Oh, Sunday morning, yeah, yeah.
You're listening to Veracity Hill, striving for truth on faith, politics, and society.
Evangelical Christians are talking about hell. What if we believe what we believe because we've always believed it? What if the gospel is really a matter of life and death? We want you to open your mind, open your Bible, and rethink hell. At rethinkinghell.com, evangelicals look at what the Bible says about hell, putting conventional and controversial views to the test.
Have you heard of the Google Ad Grant for nonprofits? 501c3 nonprofit organizations can receive $10,000 per month in online advertising credit from Google, empowering you to share your message with the world. At Defenders Media, we partnered with Nonprofit Megaphone, an agency focused solely on Google grant acquisition and management. They got us approved for the grant and now manage ad campaigns, bringing hundreds of new people to our websites each month. If you are eligible, Nonprofit Megaphone will acquire and manage the grant for you for a month for free to see if they can help you too. Visit nonprofitmegaphone.com to learn more.
Hello, I'm David Smith, the Executive Director of Illinois Family Institute, a state-based Christian pro-life and pro-family public policy organization. I want to invite you to join us as we seek to be salt and light to a dark and rapidly decaying culture. You can do that in a number of ways. For example, you can join our email list to get timely alerts and great cultural commentaries. You can like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, listen to our podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can attend one or more of the special events and forums we host in different parts of the state. We do all these things to encourage and equip Christians in Illinois. You see, we need you to help us fulfill our mission to boldly bring a biblical perspective to public policy. Our faith requires us to be bold, speak truthfully, and love our neighbors. Join us. Visit illinoisfamily.org to learn more.
All right, thanks for sticking with us through that short break from our sponsors. Today I am joined in studio by a recording artist, Royce Lovett, and we are talking about his background and his interest in being a creator of culture, and what I've dubbed a cultural apologist, if you will, and we're talking about his music. Before we get back to talking about that, we now have a segment of the show that we like to call Rapid Questions. And Royce, you're just like, what's going on here?
Okay.
So this is 60 seconds where we're going to ask you some goofy questions.
Okay.
And we'll see, what answers you can come up with. We've had some pretty creative answers over the almost 2 years. Okay. It'll be 2 years in July that we've been doing this program. So, all right, I'm going to start the game clock. And so, as soon as I get it, I'll ask the first question and we'll get rolling here.
All right, cool.
All right. What is your clothing store of choice?
Urban Outfitter.
Taco Bell or KFC?
Neither.
What school did you go to?
TCC.
What song is playing on your radio these days?
Roses.
Where would you like to live?
Chicago.
What's your favorite sport?
Soccer.
What kind of razor do you use?
One blade.
What's your spouse's favorite holiday?
Pass. That's not a holiday. Pass. Thanksgiving.
What fruit would you say your head is shaped like?
A cantaloupe.
What's your most hated sports franchise?
My most hated.
Just say Yankees. You'll be good.
Okay, cool.
What's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Fresh.
Do you drink Dr. Pepper?
No.
What's the one thing you'd be sure to keep with you if you're stranded on an island?
My wife.
Okay. Thank you for playing that round of rapid questions.
Okay. Yeah, my bad. I couldn't think fast enough about the...
Well,
we're actually thinking about moving to 4 places. Nashville, Austin, Chicago, New York.
Okay.
So
Nashville, that's a big music scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
It's the top of the list right now.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Well, I gotta say, if I can be honest, you lost a few kudos points with me there. Let's see. You don't drink Dr. Pepper.
Nah.
And you don't go to Taco Bell or KFC.
I don't. But if I had to choose, it would be KFC.
Okay.
But yeah, I really try to cook at home more often than eat out. Just because I feel like I cook really nice. We should do that next time. Like, we should have like a cooking segment, and I'll cook something for you.
Well, I'll tell you what though, I don't know what your plans are directly afterward, but Chris and I religiously after the program go to our local KFC Taco Bell.
Okay.
So if you wanted to indulge,
okay, cool. Let's do it.
All right, so back to our structured program here for today's episode.
Yeah.
Before the break, you played for us Sunday morning there, which is great. I really like that song.
Thanks.
And, some of your songs deal with the struggles of life. But your message to those that might be struggling is that, you don't tell them to go seek out these vain pursuits, to just go try and make as much money as you can, or to be chasing tail, or to get hammered, because that's the message that some music out there conveys. Mm-hmm. Instead, your message is about love.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because I think that you had a good day because someone showed you love. You had a bad day because someone didn't show you love. I think love is the first thing that you learn as a child, some part of it, you know, and that shapes your life. I think that that's the way it should work. Love, purpose, security. Everybody wants security. Everybody wants purpose. Everybody wants love. But you don't get all of those things unless you get love first. And then when you know who love is and how to love, then you find purpose. And then when you find purpose, then you find security. And that's just why I love I love writing music that way. It brings people together with the style I do, with mixing the hip-hop and the soul and the singer-songwriter. You get to see different colors of folks in the crowd, and you get people singing together that probably would never hang out together in one room, you know. And I just really like that. And I feel like we need more of like real hardcore, because I think that truth will not harm and love isn't weak. And I say that a lot. And I think we need a lot more strong love in the world, you know. We talk about love a lot, but actually I think the thing we are talking about is letting me do what I want.
Yeah,
and
right.
That's not love, because quick example, I had a lot of family and friends tell me that if I got married at a young age, life was over. And then if I had kids, life's over plus that, you know? And that's not like their fault. They thought they were loving me by telling me to do something else. The thing is, like, you don't inherit like cancer, you inherit the refrigerator that gave everyone cancer. So you have to like take out the food in your refrigerator and like put different stuff in there. And that's true for our physical and our spirit, you know?
Yeah.
So we did that in it. We got married and we had children, and life wasn't over, because that doesn't equate to, like, if you put your mindset that life's over, then life's over, you know? If you say, I remember our first time me and Hannah went grocery shopping together, I bought a bunch of ramen noodles because I thought we were going to be broke, because that's what everybody told us. And then after we did the budget, she was like, why did you buy ramen noodles? Like, we could actually afford to not kill our bodies, you know, and buy something else.
Yeah.
So that's just the thing, like,
I like what you said, that, you know, in our culture today, it's very much leave me alone, let me do my own thing. And Jesus, you know, when he said to love your neighbor as yourself, what he's saying there is not leave people alone, right? He's saying actively reach out to people. And I think you're right. I mean, that's the message today of just leave me alone. And but Christians are called to go and love people. Yeah.
And I find it so much that even in that same situation we're talking about, believers, you know, they get their light turned on and then they go hang out with other lights. And all they do is just hang out with other lights. And we're in a building every Sunday hanging out with other lights instead of taking that light someplace where it's not that bright, you know? And that's what we should be doing, exactly what you said, and having a story for every man, being able to answer those hard questions and to talk and have an answer and to treat the foreigners as yourself, you know what I mean? And that's exactly what I want to be about as a husband, a father, a songwriter, and all those things. Just learning to grow. You know, that's what we have to do. Yeah. You know.
Your recent album, "Love and Other Dreams," features a song called "Up for Love," which really, you know, kind of communicates exactly what we're talking about here. Yeah. So tell me about that song.
So I was talking to my grandmother, and she was raised in the 30s, and during that time, facing like oppression that none of us could ever think about, and raising 13 kids and having a job and dealing with life on top of that. You know, I was just talking to her. I was like, Grandma, like, how in the world do you wake up every morning? You know, some people don't want to roll out the bed for peer pressure, and you're rolling out the bed with all of this stuff every day to face, you know? And you know, so I encourage anybody listening, like, go talk to your elders. They have so much wisdom, because they've been through stuff that you haven't been through, and they can relate to you more than you think they can. Really, they can. So I was just thinking about that. I was thinking about my mom, like, why she got up every day, my dad, why he got up every day. And I was just thinking about, like, what do I want to be as a father, you know? So the song kind of came about like that, you know. I want to get up for love, and we talk about this thing about being awake. And so if I'm gonna be awake, I don't want to be awake and angry. I want to be awake and loving people. So that's kind of how that song kind of developed. And really.
For some people, it might be an everyday challenge.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. I could tell you that there are some times, you know, things have played out in our country the past few years, and I've been growing during those times. And there's been times where, you know, I talked to some of my friends, and they would just say, like, I walked into Trader Joe's and I literally didn't want to smile at anybody, just because the state of what was happening in the world. And like you said, it can be challenging, but what you have to do is you have to grow in love completely, and you have to smile at those people. You have to talk to those people that you might not want to see and that you might not want to be around. Maybe you want to be recluse and get away. But I think learning to love no matter what is what we really need to do. You know, that's a hard thing, because I think it changes the way we, like Tupac said it, like when we learn to love, like it changes the way you eat, it changes the way you speak, it changes the way you treat people. And so I think that's a beautiful thing, you know, I've seen myself grow as a father and a husband, learning to love this way, like changing my perspective from a Christian that doesn't matter, just love God, but changing my perspective to, like, no, these things do matter. And if it's a hard question to you, then I want to know how I can answer that or help you answer that. Maybe we can wrestle with this together. And in that wrestling, like I've become more involved in my community and talking and bringing together racial reconciliation and just it's been a beautiful, like, 3 years for me, to be honest with you. Writing that album, Love and Other Dreams, within those, like, 3 years, experiencing those things from Up for Love to Sunday Morning to Running to just all those different songs on the record. I feel really good. I've been growing a whole bunch, you know, talking about culture, apologetics, and those different things, been growing in those places. And I just challenge everybody to want to grow in those places. There's so much to know. I think there's a scripture in maybe it's in Esther, I think, where it's to the glory of God to conceal the matter, of the glory of kings to seek it out. And I think that's a challenge. It's like, we call ourselves kings and queens. Like, let's seek out these matters and let's encourage people as we do it, because that's what it is. You know, it's encouraging to grow in that way.
So what would you say is your role as a creator of culture?
I'm still finding that out. But
Yeah.
I think I definitely would say to get people to talk. I do this thing called Conversation Series, where I play some music that might have a hard message, and I share my story as transparent as I can be, because I think our transparency is someone else's blessing. Like, your vulnerability is someone else's blessing. And in that, I've seen people in these groups that we get together to talk, of people that think differently. Conversations happen that they would probably never speak to someone that either had the different economic status, different skin colors, different belief patterns, different denominations, probably would never talk. And getting those people to talk through that, or through the music that I'm writing and those things, that's definitely what I want to be. It's like a bridge of culture, so we can talk, because if we're not talking, we're not growing in any kind of way, you know. And
so
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so we've got a question here from Michaela online who's watching. She asks, what kind of hard or uncomfortable conversations has storytelling through music allowed you to have with people?
Well, I'll tell a really cool one that's on my head now, because I was just talking about it at the last show. I wrote this song called T-Shirt Man, which is a song talking about a cultural thing that I think happens probably in every less than ideal economic status culture, where when someone young dies, preferably I mean, not preferably, but mostly by violence, they get a shirt made of their friend or their loved one, and it has the date on it. So the chorus is, the T-shirt man is making a killing from all the killings. Bang, bang. And in the story, I talk about how this single mother who raised like a really good kid, kind of through her bringing her what she's learned of how to love her children to her world, some of those things weren't right, and so it hindered him in certain places, so you couldn't really see him grow. And then in his life, he wasn't involved in gangs or anything, but he really wanted to see security in his household because that's what he didn't see, you know. And through trying to find security, he starts to learn to rob people. And he says he's not robbing, you know, he's not killing or hurting anybody, but he's like, Mom, haven't you noticed the lights have been on? Do you think that was just you? And I'm trying to take care of my daughter. But during his like robbing people in this story, he becomes a gang affiliated, just by, which is an easy thing to do. You can, and which some people don't know, like you can be standing by someone and they think that you're friends, and then you're just gang affiliated. It's a very easy thing to do. So not to scare anybody, but I'm just in this story, I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
So
so that's been a difficult conversation that you've had, or uncomfortable conversation through the storytelling. Yeah, so that story kind of gets a little uncomfortable as you play it and you talk about it, but this cool thing happened at the end of the song. It kind of reveals, we had a young lady in one of these conversations that she didn't talk the whole night until like in that song, and she said that was such a blessing to me because her mother and father were leaders in the Southeast Black Panther movement. And so she's like, I know my stuff, I know my scars, I know what history has done. And so I've always had a hard time thinking about our forefathers as insecure people. But like, once hearing that story and hearing these conversations go back and forth, there was just such a lift in the room when you started noticing people looking at each other like, wow, the thing that was missing at the beginning of this thing called Western culture, America, was love. You know, you had people move over here only thinking about security. And when you only think about security, you step on people, you break people, you hurt people. And then that's exactly what's come all the way down. Like in the story, it says, Chris's mom worked hard. She had 2 jobs, but she was taught to work the system when it got hard. She told his teachers he was dumb for a little more cash. And now he's stuck in homeroom in a remedial class. So, you know how she's trying to love her children by providing for them, but because she told the teachers he was dumb to try to help out a hard financial spot of trying to find security, she didn't actually show him love to stretch and challenge him in school. So now he's in this other place. So you see how he's set back.
Yeah. And so you see how that's what kind of happens in all cultures. And there's so many stories of things like that in all cultures. Yeah. So that's one of the hard conversations with Kayla. That's different things like that. Sometimes, no, not sometimes, all the time. I think when we get in those hard conversations, we find a lot of like humanity. Like you're not going to find a lot of that's the answer to the rest of the world. You know what I mean? You're not going to find those. But I think when people in the room find out the humanity thing amongst us all, and then we angle it vertical, and then you find like this like love and relief. You know what I mean? So.
It can be stretching for people.
Yeah.
Nice. We've only got a little bit more time here. I've got a couple questions here. Which musical artists have been some of your inspiration?
Definitely Lauryn Hill, Israel Houghton.
How about George Clinton?
I met George Clinton once. I wouldn't say
he was an inspiration.
Funk is awesome.
Oh yeah, he's the godfather of funk.
Yeah, funk is awesome. But I didn't listen to a lot of him, to be honest with you. But I do have a hilarious story of the first time I met George. I opened up for him, and after we got backstage, I was in the green room, and he walks. It's my first time seeing him, first time meeting him. He opens the door, he walks in, and everybody's like, hey. He doesn't say anything. He just looks around the room, and then he takes the pizza out of my drummer's. Like my drummer has a pizza in his mouth, like in his hand, and he takes the pizza out of his mouth, and then he
just starts eating it,
and he walks out. And then we were just all like, that's George Clinton. Like,
yeah, he can do what he wants. Yeah. That's hilarious. Well, I asked because, some of your songs have that funk style.
Yeah, a lot of funk.
Yeah.
I love funk, yeah.
Yeah, nice. All right, no man succeeds without a good woman behind him. So what has your journey been like being a man intent on having a blessed family life?
It's been a stretching one for both of us, because in this journey of music and culture and trying to learn and grow and live different, me and Hannah, my wife, married 9 years in July, had to learn, like, we might not find a balance, but if we keep trying to find a balance, that's the key. You know what I mean? That's the reason why they're here with me this weekend. They don't get to go to the road with me all the time. It's a terrible idea to take your family on a tour bus. Like, people think tour bus life is like fabulous. Like, it's like camp. Like, it's you brush your teeth out of a water bottle. Like, you don't touch people's food in the refrigerator. Like, it's the worst sleeping arrangements. But it's been like such a blessing. That's why they're here with me now, because I love to be with them and travel with them when arrangements are correct. And she's like challenged me in so many different ways.
And it says earlier you said she was kind of like your business partner too. Yeah, so she's been helping you along.
Like, she's the one who told me to quit my job and do this.
Huh.
Everyone for Royce Lovett's music, you could thank Hannah, because I would still be like working a job and trying to juggle this, but she was like, yo, quit your job and do this because you love doing it. And she's the one who like started me like, hey, let's invest some money and get this packaging looking right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nice.
And it's been a beautiful thing. I think every marriage has their points of misunderstanding, and what I've started to learn is that those are those points where you're trying and you're beginning to stretch and grow, because that's what you have to do. Last year, when my baby boy, my youngest one, was born, was a really rough time for Hannah and I, just because the birth didn't go the way we had planned and different things. And me and her think about that time, those like 6 months, because some things happened financially for us where I literally had to be like, okay, God, I don't know where the money's coming for it. And so I literally on the phone with my landlord and saying like, hey, like, I'm predicting like 3 months from now, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I just wanted to let you know. But God just worked it out. Like, not me at all, not Hannah at all. And so just that happening and the financial stuff happening was a really rough 6 months. And that can pull on love and respect and kindness in a marriage. But that's definitely that time. Me and Hannah talk about it. Like, I think we talked about it like yesterday, about how we just feel like that just made us like grow so much more. In that, I wrote a song called "I Want to Love You," and it was just really talking about that place of hardness. But it was like, no, like, I want to win. Like, if love is something we have to win at, like, let's win at love.
Yeah.
And so
could you play that song for us?
Yeah, definitely. I can do that.
Nice.
Cool. So my son, my oldest, I don't think he was referring to this, but me and Hannah was arguing about something, and then afterwards he walked into the room and he said, "Hey Dad, are we winning?" And and I don't think he was referring to me and Hannah and the family, but it just hit me really hard, and that's how this song came about. Don't tell me we lost, 'cause I wanna win, yeah. Love is hard, but you gotta fight for what you want in the end. Too many broken homes, don't wanna be one of them, no. And no shade to what you do, but there's gotta be a love that always wins. That always wins. Like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You out. I love to knock you out, yeah. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You out. I love to knock you out, girl. I wanna love you with a love that's always fighting, with a love that's always trying, and everybody knows it's going. I wanna love you with a love so high it's flying, never falling, never dying, and everybody knows it's going. Yo, they say we statistics, young and married, and it won't work. But yeah, it won't work if we don't work. Mama said it, maybe related it. It's love kinetic, and who said it wasn't poetic? Now why we are all indebted to the movie scripts and screenplays, got our mind played like some real Americans on the lightest stage. I take this page and commit it to memory. Is it pain and chemistry? Is this love healing me, or just pointless surgery? Cause frankly, I don't understand how I love you. We'll argue so much as war, and it never ends well. Great depression on my mentals, like saying your names. Yeah, apologizing with a pencil just to erase it. So, who loves you more? I don't know, but I know I love you, and this is true. So no matter what the masses do, let's outlast the passion. If you let the crowd see what we do, see our love can change the world. I only need me and you. Yo, don't tell me we lost, 'cause I wanna win, yeah. 'Cause I wanna win, yeah. Like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You out. And let it like you, I said, I wanna love you with a love that's always fighting, with a love that's always trying, and everybody knows it's going. I wanna love you with a love so high it's flying, never falling, never dying, and everybody knows it's going. Hey, we winning, this love. Hey, we winning, this love. Oh, we winning, this love. We winning this love, yeah. We winning this love, yeah. We winning this love, oh. We winning this love. We winning, 'cause I wanna love you. Yeah, I wanna love you, yeah.
Nice. So thanks for playing that.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been great having you on the program today.
Yeah. It definitely has. It's been good talking, and thanks for having me play some songs.
Yeah, great to hear more about your music and your inspiration and your message. It's a good one, that's for sure.
Thanks,
so keep up the good work.
I will. I appreciate that.
All right. Royce Lovett, thanks so much for joining us on the program today. Well, it's been a few weeks since I've had the pleasure of playing this jingle. All right, that's the mailbag sound. We got a message, an email from a listener. If you have a question and you want to ask me, just send me an email, kurt@veracityhill.com. And this question comes from Wes. And he writes, while out with some Catholic friends of ours down here, the subject of religion came up. One of the first comments made centered around praying for the dead in purgatory so they could be purified and be able to enter heaven. When I asked where such practice is stated in the Bible, I was eventually given some Catholic websites that stated they were church tradition and gave some passages from books that are not in the Protestant Bible. In one of the articles, it was stated that C.S. Lewis believed in purgatory and praying for the dead. Your thoughts on the subject? Well, Wes, first I want to thank you for your question. And you brought up a couple different topics here, so let me first with the limited amount of time I have here, I'll see how I could do. Yes, C.S. Lewis did believe in purgatory and praying for the dead, but I don't think that when we're seeking out the truth ourselves, that shouldn't necessarily carry weight. I mean, for many people, there are some positions that we think they were incorrect or inaccurate, so that shouldn't necessarily hold too much weight. But let me talk about this. So this idea of being purified before going to heaven. So Catholics believe that 1 Corinthians 3 is a passage in the New Testament which supports the idea of purgatory. And I'm going to read here a couple verses. This is 1 Corinthians 3:10 through 15. By the grace God has given me, I laid a foundation as a wise builder, and someone else is building on it. But each one should build with care, for no one can lay any foundation other than the one already laid, which is Jesus Christ. If anyone builds on the foundation using gold, silver, costly stones, wood, hay, or straw, their work will be shown for what it is, because the day will bring it to light. It will be revealed with fire, and the fire will test the quality of each person's work. If what has been built survives, the builder will receive a reward. If it is burned up, the builder will suffer loss, but yet will be saved, even though only as one escaping through the flames. So here, I don't think this verse really supports the notion of purgatory for a number of reasons. One, it's our works that are refined in the fire. And two, Paul notes here in verse 15, if it is burned up, the builder will suffer loss, but yet will be saved. So the builder himself would still be saved, even though only as one escaping through the flames, Paul concludes there. So 1 Corinthians 3 does not support purgatory at all. This idea that some people will end up going to hell and others could be saved. Really, I think one of the important distinctions to be made here is this. As Protestants, we believe that a believer is justified through their faith in Christ, and that Christ's work is sufficient on the cross. So the notion of a purgatory, in order to refine or get one to have one be justified by God, really goes against the theories of the atonement. Because it's Christ's righteousness that God sees in us. It's not our own. So if there were some concept of a purgatory, I would have two qualifications to it. First, it's not something that justifies us, but prepares us as a bride gets ready on her wedding day. It's sort of that preparation time. And secondly, I don't think if it were to exist, it exists in this sense that souls go there right now. Even in 1 Corinthians 3 here, Paul talks about the day, as in the day of judgment. So if something is going on with this concept of a purgatory, it's almost like getting ready to get ready for the wedding day. And it's something that is to come in the future. So I hope that helps a little bit. I would say it this way. If there is something like a purgatory, it's very unlike what Catholics think it is. And so we would then need to distinguish between, say, C.S. Lewis's version of purgatory with, say, a traditional Catholic version of it. To the point here you made about books not in the Protestant Bible, I want to clarify something here because there's a popular misconception that the books in the Catholic Bible that aren't in the Protestant Bible were taken out by the Protestants. That's not true. When you look at the history of the canon, the New Testament or Old Testament canon, it was only until the Council of Trent that the Catholics adopted and formalized, they canonized these books as being part of inspired Scripture. So for the first 1,500 years, Christians did not recognize those specific books as being part of the Scripture. So Can those books still be useful? Yes, but that doesn't mean that we should take everything that they say pertaining to our theological beliefs. So I hope that answers your message here. I want to thank you for writing in, and if you do have a follow-up, please just write back and let me know if you'd like me to expound on some specific area there. But thanks so much for your question here about the nature of purgatory. So that does it for our program today. I'm grateful for the continued support of our patrons and the partnerships that we have with our sponsors: Defenders Media, Consult Kevin, The Sky Floor, Rethinking Hell, the Illinois Family Institute, Evolution 2.0, Fox Restoration, and Nonprofit Megaphone. I want to thank our technical producer, Chris, and our in-studio guest, Royce Lovett, and I want to encourage you to go check him out on Facebook and Twitter, and be sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel as well, which I already have. And last but not least, I want to thank you for listening in and for striving for truth on faith, politics, and society.
You've been listening to Veracity Hill, striving for truth on faith, politics, and society. This is a listener-supported program. For more resources, including past shows, visit veracityhill.com.